I've actually known you for coming up to 12 years at this point, and your business has grown by an unbelievable degree, right? So it's also almost all powered by SEO or search engine based lead generation, which has allowed the profitability and scalability of their operations to exceed almost everyone's expectations, to be honest, right? And when we first kind of spoke, you were one of the least technical guys I know, and now you're developing your own Python scripts and all sorts of mental stuff with your own team and things, right? And you're also one of the first people to hire me for SEO consultancy when I was 16. And I think you were probably the most successful client I've ever worked with in terms of consultancy. I put that down mostly to you listening, testing, and implementing everything most people have ever told you. These days, you're the owner of multiple SEO related businesses. You oversee campaigns across the search industry when it comes to PPC and SEO. You do large acquisitions and partnerships with sites and companies. You own a thoroughbred horse racing company. You've built an office in the UK with some of the smartest and most talented people in the industry. And you're now finally doing interviews and stuff. So with that kind of an introduction, Mr. James Dooley, everybody.
How are you doing? You all right? I'd like to start off with as well, mate. And I wanted to make certain that you was one of the first to interview me, because you fast tracked when you were 16 years old and I came and hired you as a consultant. We was not you, and you'd openly say we was complete and utter novices. The only thing we knew was keyword density and getting your keywords in the title. That was pretty much it. I didn't even know what a backlink was. So when you came in to train the team up, it was like eye-opening. Your fast tracked us at least 5 or 6 years, which then allowed us to make money very, very quickly. And then we obviously just snowballed from there. So we was able then to invest into products, into a testing team. I think that's the biggest growth. Why we've had the biggest growth is that we've got a large testing team. We've got a massive R&D development team that's just breaking the SERP and seeing what works and what doesn't work, doing a lot of myth busting, because there's so many things out there that people say work, and then we'll test it and it doesn't. And then there's so many things that people say, like Google might come out with something saying links don't work, and then you test it and you're like, yeah, they do. So it's a massive hats off to you. Like you said, at 16 years old, you came in and you've always been 2-3 steps ahead. Everyone I always speak to, I always say, Charles is always 2 or 3 steps ahead. The photographic memory that you do when you're reading certain things, it's just phenomenal. So I'd like to say, first and foremost, a massive thank you to yourself before we get started of my journey and stuff like that, because you certainly was one that helped us fast track to where we are today.
Well, I really appreciate that, mate. And that's exactly one of the reasons why I think I had you on here, is because and as much consideration and thanks I give you to for saying that all about me. I think that the fact that you listened to not only me, right? There's so many people in the industry that I think that have helped you as well, and I'm good friends with all of them as well. And I think that there's so many people out there that just absorb information and then don't do anything with it and don't utilize it. And you're one of the people that actually you absorb all that information and it gives you all of these ideas and testing scenarios and things where that creates this, like you said, this ability to just kind of break this up and know exactly what's working at all times. And I think that's amazing. Yeah. So before we kind of get on to the actual SEO kind of side of things, I want to ask you, because I don't think anybody really knows, what is your background before you got into SEO and kind of got into this whole digital landscape?
So prior to SEO, I was going to be trained up to be like a project manager, quantity surveyor type role. I ended up meeting a very good business partner of mine now and a good friend of mine to this day. You know quite well, Dave Snell. I joined him at Soft Services, and then it was going to be building sports pitches, football pitches, tennis courts, playgrounds, anything fitness and sport related and activity related into the UK was going to be building those projects. And we've grown that business now from 500,000 to 8 million a year. And that's massively just been grown by SEO and organic kind of reach. So that's where it all started. And from there, then when I first started Soft Services, it was like, how do we generate more inquiries? I'm not ringing, cold calling people. I need inbound inquiries. I quickly started to realize that the lifeblood of any successful business is a consistent flow of quality inbound inquiries. And when I knew that, I realized what I needed. I quickly realized this is what every business needs in the service-based home improvement, whether the roofing, cladding, windows, carpet cleaning, it doesn't matter what industry it is. Every business needs a consistent flow of quality inquiries. And we started to build it out for our own business. And then we started to do what we call like shouldering niches or neighboring niches, like fencing, floodlighting, landscaping, hard landscaping, roadways, almost everything that we thought, if we got them more inquiries, would we win more work? And then it just snowballed from there. So my background generally was a project manager, and I still use a lot of those traits today. Like I've said this a few times in masterminds, if you're building an extension on your house, would you build that yourself? No. You'd get a bricklayer to come and do the wall. You'd get a groundworker to come and put the foundations in. You'd get a joiner to come and do the doors. You get a plumber to come and do your shower room or your bathroom. You employ the right people for the job. And that's the same with SEO. Like, you don't need to be a jack of all trades. You just need to know who's the best in their field and then utilize them for doing your extension on your website. And that's kind of the role that we've always taken. We've always tried to employ the best people in the world in their lane. I wouldn't then go and speak to someone who's very good at content about backlinks. I wouldn't go and speak to someone who's good at backlinks about content. And that's kind of how we've managed to grow it and grow it very successfully over the years.
Coming from the whole kind of construction oriented world and stuff, when you were first got introduced to SEO, what did you see in the SEO industry? I know you talked a lot about the lead generation side of things as well, but what did you see in the SEO industry? Because a lot of people probably were aware of SEO 10, even 15 years ago, but they didn't really go and put their entire, life into it, right? In to the degree you did, at least. And what do you think you saw in the industry that other people didn't see?
So there was a lot of people that was very technical. I know, like I said, I wasn't a technical kind of guy. I'm still not really a technical guy. I employ people that are good at Python. I employ people that are good at building sites and stuff like that. But the main thing that I seen was there were so many introverts. There were so many people that would geek out in a corner on the computer that couldn't physically couldn't hold a conversation like this and talk to people. So if I could employ them and get them to do the hard work, it was one of them where it was like, there's a classic saying of hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And it's not sometimes that they don't work hard. It's the fact that they don't want to put themselves out there. So we just needed to try to find the best bricklayer to build our wall, the best plumber to do our shower room and stuff like that. And people wasn't like, it was the introverts were just trying to stay solely into affiliate because they didn't want to speak to clients, where I love speaking to customers and clients. So for me, it was like, well, not many people are doing the lead gen industry because people don't like dealing with clients because they say, oh, they're a nightmare. They're a nightmare when they don't know what you're doing. But if you're giving them a return on investment, they really like you. It's a nice conversation to have with your clients. And this is where we always stayed away from SEO, doing SEO client work. And it was more, we'll build the site, we'll own the site. I'm going to have the color to be a green button or an orange button because I know that converts the best using Hotjar and conversion rate. If you want a red button, it doesn't matter. It's my site. I know this converts better. This is what's happening. Oh, I don't like these words that you've used. No, these words are specifically used on the page to rank. So you don't have the client dictating and the tail wagging the dog. We're in full control of doing what we're good at. We generate them the leads. They're good at what they're at, which is whatever it is, roofing and going installing roofs. They make the money. We get a cut of the money. We're both in a happy relationship. And that's kind of how it grew. But where you're saying, what did I see? I seen that too many people stayed in the lane and didn't do diversity. So if someone was good at links, they just did, the content wasn't very good, but they did loads and loads and loads of links. If someone was good at content, they said links don't work. And it was like, what? Why is all this kind of, it doesn't have to be content or links. Do them both and do them both well. And have that diversity and holistic SEO approach to do everything right. Try and rank your images, try and rank your videos, try and grow your social media following and just be like a real business, basically, is where, but everyone seemed to want to do a hack or a shortcut. And we was like, hey, Dominic, we want to make certain that when we're building these sites, we're treating it as a real business, do it properly, do it for long-term gains, not for short-term gains. And yeah, it's put us in good stead.
So you talked a little bit there about some of the ranking factors that you kind of that you have utilized and also been testing and stuff. What do you think are some of the top ranking signals right now in terms of Google's algorithm, as well as some of the maybe signals that the majority of people overlook or don't even potentially know about?
So there's so many different nuances. I mean, I'm going to repeat some of the things that you say because I've been trained up by yourself as well. But there is so many different nuances from niche to niche and industry to industry. So some people don't believe, let's say, in EEAT, right? But EEAT is very important in the finance sector. If you don't have author transparency, who's behind the article, you're going to get a manual action penalty. So making certain in the finance industry, you've got the author who's written the article, who's behind the website. You've got a telephone number, you've got an email address, and setting those kind of things up. There's like, I would say, I just fall out on the technically build a site that converts from a CRO perspective, that your silo structure is good, that it loads fast, that you're ticking all the boxes, getting all the foundations right. Then when you're writing content, some people use, let's say, market moves, surfer SEO or phrase or pop, whatever it is that you want to use. Write good quality content. Don't obsess specifically over word count. It should be as short as possible, but as long as necessary. So try and get all the secondary kind of H2s and questions on the page that it needs to be. Then cover the topic in its entirety. How many different articles can you write about that topic? And then links, and then just make certain you're getting relevant, trusted, powerful links going through to your site, and the only people really who start getting hit a lot is they cheap out on the content, they cheap out on the links, they don't cover the topic in its entirety. The website isn't like trusted within Google, let's say for each signals in certain industries, and it's just the basics. The people know what to do. They just try and do shortcuts. There's no like, where's your knowledge bomb? There isn't a knowledge bomb. Just do everything right, do everything well, and you'll win long term.
Yeah. So from using all of those kind of tactics and using a quality, holistic approach, what have, as a result of SEO, been some of your most successful ventures?
We do well in the iGaming industry, so like casino, slots, bingo, betting, stuff like that. We do well in the finance industry. We own a large call. I don't know if many people know about this, but we took finance on to another level with regards to, at one point, we was generating 650 leads every single day in one or two industries, and our clients couldn't deal with the volume. So we took that in-house, where we set up our own call centre in Manchester, where we would take all the leads, we'd get all the information, and we'd change it from what's classed as being like a cold web lead to a hot lead. We'd have the bank statements, we'd have everything they need to know, whether it's about pensions or mortgages or whatever it is that they wanted. We'd fact find, get all the information that they want, and then sell it as a hot lead. And we got paid about 6 or 7 times more for a hot lead than we did a cold web lead. And it was very easy to do for us. So we transitioned on that. In the finance sector, we've made probably the most money, if I'm being honest, in the finance sector. But iGaming's treated as well. And then just a lot of local lead gen sites in a lot. I mean, it's hard because sometimes I do these podcasts and they say, how many different websites do you have? And legitimately, I don't know. Like there's well over 1,000 different websites, but how many are earning maybe only 650, 700, something like that. It fluctuates slightly, but we've got a hell of a lot of different websites in a hell of a lot of different niches. I kind of like that because of the diversity side of things, that we then start to understand the different nuances from one industry to the next of what you need and what you don't need. So yeah, I'd say local lead gen, iGaming affiliate, and then the finance sector has been the main thing. Something we've never really touched on is e-commerce, SEO, and drop shipping and stuff like that. It's not really something that, there's only so much you can do, and I've already got too much on.
Well, yeah, as you just said, you're really diversified anyway. Most people would probably ask, how do you have such a high success rate with being so diversified, right? You just said there's nuances to every niche. You need to know every niche. How do you see such success across all these different niches, across all these different types of businesses?
So that's a great question to ask, Charles, because people only want to know about your successes. They don't want to know about your failures. And for every one site that we build, we might have 2 or 3 failures. And when I say failures, it's not that they don't rank. We can get them ranking. We know what we need to do to get them ranking. But it's clients like we ranked for about 4 years, number 1 to do with like teeth implants in the UK in so many areas. Could we monetize it? No. Like we could not find a dental practice that, because it might be all over the UK where the inquiries were coming from. Like, oh, we're only based in Manchester. I'm like, you have people traveling over to Turkey to have your teeth done. So surely they're going to travel to Manchester. But whether it's just that they was naive and they just didn't understand what we were trying to generate. So we changed those sites to like display ads, Mediavine or Ezoic or AdThrive, AdSense and stuff like that. But along the way, there's been industries where we thought this would do really well, and it just not monetized into being something. And we might have spent £40,000 on ranking that website, but the actual commit, we might only get £200-300 a month out of it, and it's not really done great. And we've got other niches where we've spent £10,000 on building the site and getting it ranking for all the terms, and it makes us 5-10 grand a month. So you're like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. And do you know what? Out of the 600 plus niches that we're in, if you ask me now, back then, the top 50 niches that make us the money, I don't think I would have chose one of them. If you asked me to name 50 niches now, I don't think I would have chose one of them out of the top 50 that's earned money, because they're so random. Some of the ones you start off as being plumbing or electricians, and then you start learning more. Like, let's say a joiner. I'll give a niche away. Like, we do a lot of outbuildings in gardens, like where it's like gyms in a garden, offices in a garden, and they're like timber huts. And we started off as being a joiner, and then they started to go, this has gone all the rage. And obviously with COVID and stuff, everyone was wanting this office in the garden and gym in the garden and stuff. Yeah. And now we generate about 60 or 70 leads a day for these timber. They cost about 50. We charge out about 15,000 and probably cost about 5 to build them. But the industries, you wouldn't have thought like gym outbuilding or something like that would be such a lucrative business. I wouldn't have thought that, but you go down a rabbit hole of you're in with a client, they then start telling you what works, and it just moves on from there, really. So the success comes from a lot of testing, and then just every single day, every day is a school day. We still learn. I still get on the phone to you once a month. Charles, come on, what's going on here and stuff like that. And you give me different ideas and go, right, I'm going to go and test that. And I feed the information back to you. You like it because you get the kind of testing from all these different industries. So you're ahead of the curve all the time, but you're always on the prowl and the lookout for what's working now. And yeah, it's just good to be able to have the R&D team that you allowed us to set up, because we started to make money. And from there, then we, like I said, do a lot of myth busting and see what works.
Well, so I was actually going to ask you, how do you scout out opportunities? But it seems maybe like you just go into a niche thinking it's going to be profitable, and then you find out what's actually profitable inside that niche.
So the easiest way of explaining it is, if you was going fishing and you've got a fishing rod, you're only ever going to catch one fish, right? So we go and do this cheat system where we're going to have the biggest net in the world on the back of the boat, and we catch every single fish, right? And we're going to catch every fish in our net. And at that point, if it's a small fish that we don't want, we throw it back in the sea. And if it's a big fish that we do want, we keep hold of it. And it's kind of cheating to a certain degree, but that's kind of how we go broad. We see what works, and then we micro niche it down into being, where do you make your profits? Where do you make your money? And then from there, then we go, right, let's start doing some exact match domains or partial match domains on this specific product that makes you all the money. I'm not interested in getting you, if you're a joiner and you're doing doors, you don't make much money of doing doors. You make a lot of money on doing the outbuildings and gyms. Let's just get you more of those leads. And that's kind of how we scout it out. We go as broad as we can, and then we narrow it down into where the money is. And then where the money is, then obviously we double down on making certain that we might have 3 or 4 different websites for that one specific product. They're a lot easier to rank. They're a lot higher ticket value, but you don't know what they are until you started to deal with the clients.
So you keep on mentioning about like having the joiner and the plumber and that kind of stuff. And you obviously need a team to be able to carry out this kind of scalable operation and all that kind of stuff. And even to the point, like you said, when you first got into it, you didn't know how to develop, how to design, how to do all the different things that you need to kind of do as an SEO, right? So you need to get people to do it for you. How did you, or how do you go about building such a strong team to be able to carry out all of this work across different niches and different verticals and everything at the same time?
So obviously you know quite a lot of them because you've trained majority of them all, and you've known that they've all now been with me for nearly 10 years. They all started out as being apprentices. They're all rewarded nicely, so they're all well paid. I allow them to have any new idea that they have. They get 25% of that website. So even though the whole team build out the site for them, they come up with an idea. It's their idea. It's their site. They get 25%. They go and build these assets up, and they end up earning more money on their assets than they do actually on a wage. So they're seeing the growth themselves. A lot of them now, the main 6 that we employed right at the very start, they're all directors of the company. So they're all well looked after. But I think a big thing, it sounds quite arrogant, this, but because they see me every day when I don't really need to, but working hard, rolling up my sleeves, putting the effort in, speaking to them all and trying to say, come on, every day's a school day. How can we progress this? How can we progress this? They've now got that mentality that they work hard. They understand that when they worked hard, they're rewarded. I think they love it like I love it. Like SEO is a bit like a game as well. Like I think like some of these are gamers that think like to get to the top of Google is a game. And if we can keep finding ways to get there, then happy days. So I think as an industry, it's quite rewarding when you know what you're doing. And I think that they enjoy it. I think we've got a good team. I think my role more now is being a cultural architect. So making certain that the culture and everyone's happy within the business of what they're doing. And yeah, I feel like we've got a very happy and successful team around me. And they all seem very happy and they're all well rewarded. So I think it works well for everyone.
Okay, so the final kind of thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is maybe going to help that team go to even the next level of productivity and stuff, right, is the future of the industry, which is AI. And I want to ask you it's kind of a 2-in-1 question. So I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the current state of AI in the SEO industry and its effect so far on the SEO industry? And what do you think it will be like in the future in terms of its effects on the industry, as well as things like Google SGE and its effects like that? So in general, I kind of want to ask you, what are your thoughts on AI now in SEO and in the future in SEO?
So my thoughts initially is you've got to be embracing it, because now it's there now, so you've got to embrace it. So that's thought number 1. Even though I do feel it is going to replace a lot of people's jobs in the long run, which is sad to see. At the end of the day, it's one of them. If you don't kind of embrace it, you're just going to fall behind. There's a good saying: if you don't innovate, you're going to evaporate. So for that reason, you need to innovate, and if that means you need to adapt to using AI, you need to adapt to using AI. It's a big subject in our R&D team and our testing team. What can we do? We've invested in auto blogging, which is an AI tool that mass creates content. Some people have seen amazing results by it. It's like one click of a button can generate your 500 articles, uploads it to WordPress. It's scaling out topical authority. Google's got a massive problem because people now can scale content to another level very quickly, and it's going to cost them a fortune for their cost of retrieval of ranking the sites. Where it is at the moment is a lot of people crushing it using AI. Long term, even yesterday in the private mastermind groups that you're in, you were showing me this with regards to like AI teams now being created, whether it's graphic design, videography. I don't know, if I'm being 100% honest. I'm all ears. I'm going to be speaking to you on a month-by-month basis, saying like, how can we be embracing and adapting to use AI more? How can my graphic designers that I love to pieces innovate to be using AI to make their job easier and be able to scale more, as opposed to replacing them? How can they use it to generate, instead of them generating 40 images a day, can they now generate 80 images a day? And whether they use Midjourney or what other AI kind of image creation tool or what other video creation tool they're going to use, I don't know. I feel like I'm back to square one in learning. So I'm probably not the best person to speak. I'd probably say you need to go to somebody like yourself. So if someone asks me, I'll be like, Charles, what do you think about this? So I feel you need to embrace it. I think if you don't innovate, you're going to evaporate. But it's scary. It's scary times, in my opinion, with how quick people are going to be able to adapt and grow sites way faster. Like people talk about, oh, back in pre-Panda and pre-Penguin was the glory times. And I'm thinking, now could be the glory times. If people adapt to using AI, now could be the glory times, way more than any other time. You could scale out what I've done, and it's took me 10, 11 years. This could be done in months, if done correctly. So I partly worry, but then I partly go, I need to just embrace it and see how I can use it to my best advantage.
I completely agree with you. I think it's the opportunity needs to be taken to the maximum it can be taken to, but with an air of caution, right? Like you want to make sure that that you're not going to be kind of feeding into your own doom at the end of your own self, right? So I really appreciate you coming on, mate. It was one of the most interesting interviews I think I've ever done, and I think there's going to be a lot of people in the comments who are going to be really interested to hear more from you as well. So is there anywhere that people can find you as well online?
I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, on Instagram. Just search James Dooley or James Dooley SEO. You'll find my profiles on there. I think it's James_Dooley on Twitter. I'm going to start being more. I've started to realize that now with AI coming along, I do need to start having more of a personal brand myself, so they know who's behind certain websites. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more podcasts, a lot more social media and stuff like that. So I appreciate you having me on, Charles.
All right, thanks for this one, mate. See you later, guys.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate.